We live in a world of constant shift, vibration, and energy.
If you could change the field and change the information in the field, is it possible then you can change the experience in three-dimensional reality? And the closer you get to singularity, to source, to oneness, to wholeness, to absolute, whatever you want to call that, and you're creating from the field instead of from matter, every thought in the quantum produces a frequency. So the thought of your wealth in the quantum should produce the frequency or the feeling of abundance. By focusing on nothing, on space, there's a recalibration of the nervous system back to more order, back to more wholeness, back to more oneness. And if you're going to marry a clear intention with an elevated emotion to create reality, you better have a coherent brain, because that's the mechanism that sends the signal out. That's the directive. That's the intention. That's the possibility. It's the creative center. And if you're going to combine it with an elevated emotion, if you're going to believe in that future that you're imagining with all your heart, it better be open. You better learn how to activate it, and you got to feel into that heart of yours. And when you do, you begin to change your electromagnetic field. In fact, you have a Wi-Fi signal, and if the thought sends the signal out and the feeling draws the event back to us, if the thought is the electrical charge in the quantum field and the feeling is the magnetic charge, and the heart has a magnetic field, and this is beyond polarity, this is wholeness, this is oneness, this is the union of opposites. It means that we have to feel the feeling before the experience, and not wait for the healing to happen to feel gratitude, or the new relationship to feel love, or the wealth to feel abundance or worthiness, or the mystical moment to feel awe. That would be cause and effect. We want to cause and effect. So then causing an effect in your life then means then you have to lay down the very thing you used your whole life to get what you want for something greater to occur. And that's a big step for a lot of people. What's the significance of that? We can all get successful. You can learn certain skills, you can be trained, you can make the right choices, you can learn from your mistakes, you can take more courses, more seminars, you can go at it matter to matter. This is the plane of doing. You can predict the outcome, you can plan for the outcome, you do all those things. There's rules in this three-dimensional world. And when the experience happens, then the experience produces the emotion, and it takes away the lack of not having what you want. You get the new car, you get the new relationship, you get the better health. You wait for the experience to occur. The experience then, the end product is the emotion, and it fills the lack or separation. But we create that way. You see someone with something you like and you don't have it, your brain naturally starts thinking about you having it. We're creative by nature. But in the 3D world, you got to wait for the experience. You got to do something to make it happen. And of course, doing requires time and energy. So you can get really good at that, and you can collect resources and savings and all that stuff, and you can do it easier. My interest is another way. I want to shorten the distance between the thought of what we want and the experience of having it, between the cause and the effect, and that's called time, right? So if we're creating from matter, then there's a lot of things that we have to do to get what we want. And if we're living in stress and we're living in survival, now we feel more like matter and less like energy. And now those hormones drive us in our animal nature to try to get what we want. But sometimes, people cheat, they steal, they lie, they do whatever they can to get what they want. That's the game. But then if you can create from the field instead of from matter, it's not matter that's emitting a field, it's the field that's actually creating matter. So if you could change the field and change the information in the field, is it possible then you can change the experience in three-dimensional reality? And if you can experience the feeling of that ahead of the actual event, you're beginning to change information in the field. Keep doing that. Thought objectifies and conditions reality. So you create a thought form, and in time, all of a sudden, you start having these synchronicities and these outcomes in your life. If you can't get beyond your body, and your attention is on your body, then you're matter trying to change matter. If you're thinking about your cell phone and your partner or your kids, none of these are bad, but if you can't get beyond them, they own you. If you're thinking about how much time it's going to take or how much time the meditation is going, you haven't dissociated from the very world of three-dimensional reality to create something differently with. So that process of overcoming ourselves, that process of overcoming is the process of becoming. So many people say, I really believed that this information, or that you could actually create a better life for yourself, or you could heal yourself. I always believed that it was true, and I saw the testimonials of other people, I've read the information, I saw the scientific research. I just never believed it could happen to me, or that I could do it. Now this is a big moment, This is the moment you come out of the bleachers and you get on the playing field, because in order for that person to prove that their mind can affect their body, they would have to show up every day and do the work. If they don't show up, then they don't believe it's possible. They do show up every day, they do believe it's possible. And you keep showing up every day, after a period of time, you start feeling worthy to receive it. And the universe only gives us what we think we're worthy of receiving. So it's the overcoming process that is the becoming process. People who are sick in this work, I can guarantee you, with stage 4 cancer that has metastasized to every organ, every tissue, every bone in their body, and they've gotten the diagnosis and the prognosis, I'm sure there were days where they felt fear. And they had to make one of two choices: to either do the work or surrender to fear. And they showed up that day, and they overcame their fear a little bit more and surrendered to love. That's a victory. There were days where I'm certain they didn't feel good. They didn't feel physically good, and I know that it was probably hard for them to think greater than how they felt. They couldn't do that if they were still their body. They would have to get beyond their body in order to change, and they showed up that day and they overcame their body a little bit more. And I'm sure there were days where they had self-doubt. In fact, many of them, their disease got worse before it got better, and they could have easily listened to their family and to the voice in their head that said it's not working. But they showed up anyway, and they did the work, and they overcame their doubt that day. And I know there were days where they thought they didn't have enough time because they had children and work and all kinds of obligations, but they made time. And it was the overcoming that actually created the becoming. And so they weren't visualizing anything. They weren't affirming anything. They were changing. Now, many of them would have a great meditation, get up feeling wonderful, feeling like connected to the emotions of their future, and their sleeping patterns got better, they've had more energy, their pain diminished, but their blood values and their scans were still the same. They didn't say, oh, well, I kind of got a little bit better, but this doesn't work. That would be the old self, returning back to the old personality. They were more concerned about what they still had to change about themselves in order for their health to change. So they realized that many of them, 1 hour of meditation and feeling wonderful, and then spending 15 hours of your remaining day reacting and responding to everyone and everything in your life and believing those thoughts that are just hardwired programs in the brain and acting and behaving like the old self. Genes aren't going to change that way. So all of a sudden now it became practical. I got to get so good at doing this with my eyes closed that I got to do it with my eyes open. Now, this is the big game, because you got to be able to self-regulate. What became very practical to them is, now I'm going to rehearse how I'm going to be on the Zoom call. Now I'm going to rehearse how I'm going to be with my children, how I'm going to be with my ex. I'm going to monitor my responses. There's got to be a better way to be. Now the game becomes very real. And then they review at the end of the day, when did I fall from grace? When did I lose it? When did I go unconscious? Tomorrow's another lifetime. Right. Tomorrow's another, I didn't fail. I just went unconscious. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to just work on that one thing. So now they're really working on the process of transformation. It's no longer about their health condition. They're not focused on their health condition. They're focused on change, right? And nothing changes in our life until we change.
Thanks for watching. And if you get value out of this video in any way, hit that like button for me. Share it with a friend. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Otherwise, keep an eye on it. Stay blessed.